Welcome back everyone. In today's video I'm flying out the Fw-190 F8 which sits at 5.0 in the German tech tree. Now there's one thing that makes this plane very special. The F8 is the only single engine fighter that gets an attacker spawn in the entire German tree. And I find this thing very enjoyable to fly mainly because of the forward airspawn, which gives you an altitude advantage over nearly all of the enemy team's fighters, and you also arrive above the enemy team earlier in the match, which allows you to disrupt their climb, and it even allows you to catch some people off guard or AFK. Playing this plane with a duo is the best way in my opinion to fly the F8 because you and your squad mate can use bait and switch tactics to rapidly dismantle them. Flying the F8 solo can be challenging though, because this is mainly that you are a fighter that gets to the enemy team much earlier than your teammates will, which means that you're going to be fighting them all alone. And at 5.0, the F8, which basically has like a 3.7 to 4.0 airframe, it just doesn't have the flight model necessary to handle a situation like that. So my main strategy in the F8, which is very similar to how I play most 190s, is to get the enemy numbers down as quick as I can, as this plane becomes worse as the match progresses, because the airspawn is being equalized by better performing aircraft as time goes on. Throughout the video there are going to be many examples of me being very aggressive, and that's because that's how you have to fly this thing. However, if you know how to position well and take advantage of situations properly, you will find great success in flying this thing. Starting off, there are some examples of team play and using bait and switch tactics, which will later move on to some full games. The last match of this video is an 8-kill game, by the way, so stay tuned. And also, if you haven't yet, I would really appreciate if you like the video and subscribe to the channel. It helps me out and is free. Thank you guys, and without further ado, let's hop into it. Alright, so we're first going to start off with a pretty quick dismantling of the enemy team, and my first priority target is going to be the XP50, and no, you're not going to really be above XP50s at the start of the match if they do climb, and yeah, this guy just didn't choose to climb, so he's going to be in front of me. He's not going to be paying attention. He goes down because he's going for the bomber for some reason. I now go for the ITP. He's also not paying attention. He goes down. I split S, and I'm just kind of looking for the target that's like closest to me. Potato in the background gets the Yak 3 to the left. I'm going for the next closest target, which is the P-51. He's turning into me. However, he doesn't really seem to be paying attention to me either, so I don't really know what these guys' problems were. But yeah, that's going to be a pretty easy triple kill. And now we have two Yak 9s in front of us. So Yak 9s, especially when they're on equal energy to you, they are pretty dangerous because the Focke-Wulf just doesn't have the performance to keep up with them in an equal energy fight. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get help from my teammate, and Potato is above me and he's just kind of waiting right now, and I'm trying to get this Yak 3 to kind of stick on me. He is catching me. I need to be careful of that, and I also want to dodge his guns. However, all I really have to do is just kind of bide my time and make sure that I wow. I want that Yak to not really see Potato in the background. That's what I was going for. Sorry about that. But yeah, he eventually goes down, and now there's a Yak 9 above me and him. So we're going to kind of split off from each other. And as you can see, he's far enough away from me that he has to choose one of us. And when he chooses one of us, he can't go for both of us at the same time. So Potato does a nice little vertical dive down. Yak 9P loses a bit of altitude. He turns in front of me because he doesn't see me, and he's still going for Potato. And I'm kind of just able to slot in behind him here. And since I'm also slower, I'm going to be able to have a tighter turning radius. I drop my landing flaps. That really cuts my speed down, and I get a nice little shot. He goes down, and that is going to be the end of the clip. Moving on, we're going to look at another teamwork example, and this starts off with a J2M behind me, and he was actually on my altitude, but he does have better climb than on me, or he does have better climb than me on paper. However, I'm faster than him, so as long as I climb at like a very shallow angle and a very shallow speed, he's not really going to be able to catch me, just because I'm so much faster than him and I retain more energy at high speeds. So yeah, this guy's been following me for probably 2 or 3 minutes now, and a guy from the same squadron as the J2M that's on my 6, he's also in a J2M. He's on Potato 6, and as you can see in the top right of the screen, this is fast forwarded because it is pretty boring, but yeah, that just kind of gets you the positioning. I do a split S because I'm directly in the middle of a cloud bank, and yeah, I'm pretty confident that I ditched the J2M. As you can see, the one that was on my tail, he's now going for Potato, and Potato is going to make a diving pass on him because he does have the positional advantage. He's above him, he's going to be able to go faster, and after he makes a pass, he's also bringing the J2M that was on his tail down, and I'm telling him to run under me in chat because if he runs under me, both the J2Ms that are following him now are going to run under me as well. So that's going to give me a positional advantage. And we're basically just going to kind of juggle these guys until we get them in a position to where we can both start boom and zooming them at the same time, because they can't really they can focus on both of us at the same time, but it makes it infinitely harder if we're both making passes one at a time. So J2M actually sees me, the one that was below me, and he pitches straight up. However, that cuts a lot of his airspeed down, so I'm just going to extend away. And if I extend kind of upwards through the cloud bank, first of all, my name tag's probably going to disappear, but this also gives Potato enough time to loop around, and he actually gets a kill shot on that first J2M. So Potato is now kind of baiting the second J2M downward, because that J2M, he just saw his teammate die to the guy that he can see. However, he kind of forgot about me, it looks like, because I was in the cloud bank, and I wasn't the one who just killed his teammate, so I'm going to get a free shot. And unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to turn into this just because of how much better the J2M turns. But yeah, since he's focused on me, then Potato's going to be able to make a pass. And yeah, we basically just took turns on those guys until both of them were able to, until we both took him out. So we skip forward to probably like 3 minutes, because we really did take them to the edge of the map. And there is now a P-51D above us, and it is a D-30. And I do want to be kind of careful. However, I'm going to act as the bait for this, because if he can't focus on both of us at the same time if he's shooting at me. So I want this guy to get close, and I'm just going to roll around this guy's guns at high speed because he has such a bad rudder, and I want him to only look at me right now, which gives Potato a pretty easy shot. And as soon as Potato hits him in the tail, P-51 is kind of breaking off, and it should be a done deal now because Potato is really close on a 6, and so I'm just going to switch off the P-51 D-30. Potato's eventually going to kill him. I just gotta turn him one more time, and I kind of want to focus more on the 0 now than I do the D-30, because that 0 is going to be a very big nuisance because he is above us, and he turns probably like 3 times better than us. And even in a 2v1, a 0 with an altitude advantage against 2 Focke-Wulfs is just a very big problem. So Potato actually switches the bait with me. I get on the P-51-6, and the P-51 is so slow that he can't dodge anymore. And yeah, he's a pretty easy target to go down. And now we have to focus on the A6 and 5. So Potato volunteers as bait here, and I'm telling him to dive under me, but the problem is he can't really dive under me because he's already too low. So he has to just kind of hope and pray that the A6M misses. And I'm going to try and get there as quickly as possible. And all of a sudden, the Spitfire appears above us and to the right, which just completely, it's just really bad for us. I'm also kind of low on fuel. I do take minimum fuel with this thing because I need all the performance I can get out of a Focke-Wulf at this BR, especially an Anton. And yeah, it just makes it that slightly more light, I'd say. I take a head-on with the A6M. I kind of have to in this situation because I don't really want to be fighting a 0 in a Focke-Wulf while at the same time a Spitfire is above me. So yeah, I killed a 0, and luckily at the last second a teammate comes in, and that's before I run out of fuel. He takes the Spitfire out, and that's going to be game. And yeah, GG. Moving on to the first game, and this is just kind of an example of what can happen if you go for bombers. As you can see, my engine gets one shot by a 50 cal, and I'm basically going to play this game as a suicide wrecking ball, because I do have altitude still, I still have engine power, and I'm still above these guys. So I want to just basically try and get as many targets out of the game as possible. So I go head on with an F-82, which is obviously a bad idea, but I'm going to be cooked anyways if I try to get back to base. If I do, then these guys are going to catch me. I get a nice little shot on the J2M2, and I'm just going to try and kill as many enemies as quickly as I can, because my engine is now on a timer, because I'm oil leaking. It's already damaged, and yeah, it's only a matter of time before my engine just gives out. So yeah, this was just a match that I played extremely aggressively, and it can work sometimes, and it can work a lot of the times if you have teammates around that are kind of baiting and switching for you. And that's the thing that a lot of Focke-Wulfs are good at. If you have teammates or even squad mates that you can communicate with and that are all in Focke-Wulfs, Focke-Wulfs become one of the best planes at this BR, especially F8s, because they have an attacker spawn. And if you can work together with teammates or squad mates in multiple F8s that kind of like surprise the enemy really early, then you can really just take apart an entire enemy team before your friendly fighters even get to them. So it's pretty, I wouldn't say overpowered, but it's definitely very, very strong as in a term of a play style. But anyways, after that rant, I think I managed to kill 3 more people that weren't really paying attention. I already have an ace. And yeah, I'm just going to kind of slowly cruise towards this A7M because I want to go head on with him. And luckily, I get a couple of hits there. Unfortunately, he doesn't go down. And I was kind of scared of head-oning him because A7Ms are just like that good. But yeah, eventually the game actually ends before I crash, which is kind of funny because we just killed the enemy team that quickly. But anyways, we're going to move on to the second game. This was a 5-kill game. And I'm first going to go for the Spitfire that's directly in front of me, who is pitching up for a bomber. He doesn't really know where he is. He didn't see me, I guess. And I'm just going to kind of loop back over. And I want to be careful of the LS7 because he's actually paying attention to me instead of the Spitfire. So I'm just going to go up, and although the LS7 does perform better than me at basically all altitudes, he is still lower than me, and all I have to do is just really spiral above him. It is kind of dangerous, but he's far enough away that I feel pretty confident in not getting hit from there. So I'm just going to loop back over after he stalls out. I can take a bunch of shots. I get a nice little fire because he's just kind of too slow to dodge, and he's going to go into a flat spin. And as you can see, the enemy team forms a conga line behind the F82 that's down there. So I'm just going to basically send it at this point because I want to get as many kills as I can as quickly as possible. It's sort of greed too. Take out the BB-10. I actually almost ram him, I think. I'm just going to go for the Spitfire now because the Spitfire is the most dangerous here. It's an LF Mark 9, and I want him out. Unfortunately, I can't really pull enough lead because I'm still going so fast. F8 doesn't really compress that badly. However, the Spitfire just turns that much better. I now go for the P47, get a nice little shot on him. He goes down, and I'm just going to extend away from the LF Mark 9. And the LF Mark 9 at this altitude performs so much better than me in basically every category. However, I started out going faster than him. I just came out of a dive, and I'm just going to extend away from him because he's not going to catch me at least for a couple of minutes at this rate. I get a nice shot on the 0, and I'm just going to turn around because the Spitfire broke off. 109's really slow. Borovy's going to go kill him now because he's in a stall. An energy trap. Borovy gets 1 kill. Nice one. And Borovy, at this point, also kind of doesn't really have any choice but to head on Spitfire, and luckily Borovy gets him down. A6M5 is also kind of tumbling down. He's going to crash. LA7 is going to crash at about the same time, and that's going to be 5. I almost get rammed by my teammate once again, but I think he was just doing that for show. Anyways, we're going to move on to the third game, and this is another ace. And it starts off, it is another full up tier. I did get a lot of 6-0 matches when playing this thing. I don't really know why, but it's not that bad because of the air spawn. Just make sure that you don't stick around for too long without killing that many enemies because the planes at this BR just have so much more performance over you that it's kind of ridiculous. Yeah, the only thing that makes your plane good for the first couple of minutes of the match is the air spawn. So use it as, or abuse it as much as you can, and kind of cherish that air spawn. So after killing the 84, I just kind of extend towards the enemy sides of the map. I get a nice little shot in the Yak-9P. He didn't really try and dodge, but I'm just going to extend away because there's an A7M2 behind me, and I want absolutely none of that because the A7M2 is an extremely scary plane to me. And I'm only going to be able to outclimb him and kind of run away from him for so long. So I'm kind of turning back towards to the right, towards my teammates. And before the A7M catches me, he's actually going to get caught by my teammates. He realizes this, he pulls off, and I can now have enough room to kind of just pitch back in. I'm going for the P51 because he was just kind of the closest, and the A7M was also occupied with my teammates, so I'm going to loop back up after I crit the P51. I only get an assist, but I think he already had a wingtip gone, so it is what it is. And right now, it's just kind of waiting until the A7M gives us an opening, because he can kind of point his guns wherever he wants, however fast he pleases, because he can turn around in a dime. He actually goes for me there, but all I really have to do is just do a snap roll under his guns, and he can't aim. And yeah, he goes down by all of my teammates that were chasing him. I now can go for this A7M on the deck after I skip forward a bit. Unfortunately, none of my rounds hit because he actually dodged pretty well, and I'm just going to extend away. And yeah, the A7M is also just now caught up in a dogfight with all my teammates. He actually gets set on fire by the TIH here, but I think he actually ended up putting it out. So since he's on fire, I'm not really going to go for him. I'm going to go for the Spitfire that's actually on the TIE HS6 to try and save him, and I end up getting a pretty easy third-party kill. And the F8, and I guess you could say this about all Focke-Wulfs in general, are really just third-party masters or kind of pack monsters, because they perform so much better when you have lots of teammates in the area. They perform so much better when you have a squad with you, and they just become great planes because they have good armament, they have good high-speed control, good agility. Even though they don't have the best turn, they have good agility, and this just makes it so that you can kind of bait and switch, boom and zoom very effectively if you have good communication with your team. So anyways, I'm going to go for this F8F. I make sure that I don't team kill my teammate by shooting early. He goes down, and F8Fs are pretty darn fragile. So he goes down pretty quickly, and I have to dodge under the P-51D-30, use that good roll rate, and kind of abuse the fact that he has really bad rudder. And I'm going to start a scissoring match because the P-51 can't really get behind me like that when I'm deploying my landing flaps, because when I have my landing flaps down, my plane actually doesn't turn that bad, and it also loses a lot of speed, so he's just going to have a very hard time turning with me. And even if he does start getting an advantage, my teammates are so close to me that he's not going to be able to kill me in time before he dies himself. So yeah, I can afford to be aggressive there, basically. Anyways, we're going to move on to the last match of the video, which is an 8-kill game. And it's going to start off with me shooting down a B-17. And you are going to be able to run into quite a few bombers in this plane. I now take a head-on with a Spitfire, and it is an LF Mark 9, it is a clipped wing, but it's still a plane that completely outperforms me. So since he's already at my altitude, I do want to take an aggressive head-on, and yeah, luckily I kill him. I can now go for this A7M2. He was probably watching TikTok or something. I don't really know what he was doing, but it makes an easy kill for me. And I'm now just going to extend towards the nearest enemy, and that is the LA7. That Spitfire to the right was the guy I just killed. And I want this LA7 out because, again, LA7s, I think, perform better than me all around, and he's also on my altitude. So if I can either kill him now or push him downwards, then that's a win for me. So LA7 does see me, he starts dodging. Unfortunately, I only get a hit there. But since I also am going faster than him here, I'm actually going to pretty aggressively start turning with him, and I can actually energy trap him once here. He goes up, I make sure to go down a bit because he actually was going to get his nose on, and I'm just going to extend away because I realize that's not really a fight that I'm going to be winning in the long term. I only have so much energy to work with, and so yeah, I'm just going to leave, just going to go down towards my teammates, towards the ground, maybe make the LA7 kind of compress a bit, and maybe kind of entice him not to go for me because I'm losing so much altitude. That might make him like make me seem like a less valuable target, and it actually ends up working out pretty well because the AM1 ends up getting on the LA7-6, LA7 goes for him, and I'm actually going to do something pretty aggressive here because that's what you're supposed to do in this thing, play like a wrecking ball. And the LA7 doesn't see me because he's not really paying attention to me anymore. He goes down, and I'm just going to just kind of look for the next most opportune target. I'm looking at the Tutu because every other fighter is actually pretty far away from me, and so since he's flying like literally directly underneath me, it's basically a free kill as long as I don't get shot by his gunners. And yeah, that's exactly what I do. Take a couple of shots, he goes down. That's going to be 5, and I can now extend towards the west side of the map. And this Spitfire, he's low, he's slow, and I climbed a bit so I could gain just a bit of energy over him. And I don't really know what he was doing here. He actually didn't see me as well, so I end up taking his wing off. He goes down. That's going to be 6, and I can now go for kind of the rest of the enemies over here in this furball, this little mini furball. I'm going to go for the I-225, get a nice shot on him, and I'm just going to go up and over, or never mind, I'm going to just flat turn because the Tempest, I want to kill him now because he's kind of slow right now. He's slower than me, and since it's a Mark II, he's going to have a pretty easy time running away from me if I wait for too long. So I want to use my speed advantage as quickly as I can. I'm making sure that I'm shooting rounds at him to make him dodge a bit more, because I just don't want this guy to get away from me. He's much faster than me at this altitude, at all altitudes, and yeah, luckily I'm able to catch him because maybe he was overheating, he was dodging my guns, but I end up killing him. That's going to be 8. And unfortunately, the last guy, which was an A702, ended up camping the airfield for like probably 10 or 15 minutes after I killed the Tempest. So a bit salty after that one, but it is what it is. So that's going to be the end of the video. I hope you guys enjoyed. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one. Peace out.